Welcome back to Tater Talk, the podcast. I'm Rachel.
And I'm Hailey.
And in today's episode, we talk to Jake Fischer. He is our principal development scientist based here in Kennewick, Washington. He has over 12 years of experience here at Lamb Weston, and he's worn a lot of hats while he's been here, from leading sanitation teams in Oregon to pioneering food science innovation in Richland. He's done everything in between.
Yeah, sanitation too. He's got
done it, a broad spectrum of things.
Exactly. Yes, and on top of that, so he's a proud graduate of Washington State, as are a lot of people here at Lamb Weston, so we know that, with a bachelor's in food science, and he's passionate about all things potatoes, which you will most definitely experience in our episode with him today.
So hope y'all enjoy.
So to kick us off, can you talk us through what it takes to develop a new product?
That's a great question.
Thank you, Jake.
Specifically today, we're going to talk about cuts. That's why I brought all this cutting equipment with me today. And when we develop a new cut, we typically look at the technologies that are available to us today, and then what technologies are we missing? So this is the workhorse of the industry, and this is what we can call a plunger cut. Typically goes up on a wall, someone cuts a potato, and they put the potato through. So the olden days, people used to do these all the time, and they would take a plunger, and hopefully this works because you never know how it's going to go.
You got some muscles to work out for the day.
Yep. And so you would take all the fries, they drop them in a bucket, they drop them in the fryer, and you have all these sweet French fries.
Jeez. And they wouldn't do anything after that, right? Like it would go straight from the cutter straight into the fryer?
Depending on who did it.
Okay.
There was different processes. Sometimes they do a double blanch of oil or a blotter blanch and then kind of pat them dry and let them sit in water all day. Or they would just put them in oil, put them on the side, and then cook them when they were ready to serve them.
Okay.
There's hundreds of different ways that people do fresh cut fries, and they all have their benefits, and everyone has their own special recipe that makes them unique. And that's why people love fries, is because you can get a different experience by one little simple machine, 100 different ways from 100 different customers. Problem with this is, could you imagine, you have to cut about 2 potatoes to get 1 serving of fries. Could you imagine doing this for every single customer that comes through or paying someone?
No, I mean, like
arm work. I'm just thinking arm work.
I'm thinking about like squeezing lemons at like for like, or like making drinks, and you're like, after like 5, I'm like, I'm done.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's very difficult and it's very hard for people to do this. But what we can look at is when we dive into the blade technology, as you can see, we can change the blades to, so this is our standard 3/8 cut, workhorse industry of the food service industry. We can go smaller, make 1/4-inch shoestring like our QSR restaurants really like, or we can even go bigger and do something like a wedge cut. So same, just passing a potato through a grid of knives is how we make most of ours. We can bend these knives, and we start bending the knives, we actually start making something like our dipper cut. So we can take a steak, instead of a piece of metal, we can bend it, and then we put those into a pattern, get dippers. Or we can change out the blades and put a serrated knife on it, and then we get crinkle cut wedges or crinkle cut fries or the wavelength fries.
So do you start with developing something like this when there's a new cut to see how it would look, or before you're then going to go put something maybe on like the pilot plant?
So typically there's 2 ways we do it. We'll do 3D imaging. So it's really great to take a fry, make a 3D image, and then change the shape of it. We can actually take a 3D printed and print a 3D fry.
Oh.
So we can show, like if I wanted to put some grooves on this fry and see what it looked like, we'll actually put that into a CAD drawing and draw a 3D printed fry and then see what it looks like and see what it would look like in a container.
It has like a peel, or like if it looks funky.
Yep. And most of the time it looks really cool, except it doesn't look like a potato. It looks like a piece of plastic.
Yeah. Not as appetizing.
Yeah.
But it gives us a good idea. And then the best part about potatoes is everything that we're going to cut today, we actually have to be able to mold back into a potato. So that is the trick to cutting.
Wait, why?
So when you think about if you were to make, so when we cut a potato, right? If I was to make like pasta out of this, right? You'd have to like sit there and whittle it out, and you get all this waste, right? So almost half the potato would be waste, and you get some spirals in the center. But when you take a potato, you should be able to, so if I pull this through the knife, I pull it back, you're going to have a potato again, right? You're going to have everything that's there. People usually don't like these little pieces, and so those get graded out and are considered waste.
Okay.
So when I look at a potato, I want to see the potato for its natural beauty. So I want to try to use every single part of the potato, and I want to use the natural curvature of the potato to show people that it's awesome. And then, thank you.
He's a true lover of potatoes.
But not all potatoes are created the same. So you get some that are way different shapes, and everyone's seen what comes out of the ground. We have some that are giant, and we have some that are small. And so every time we develop a new cut, we try to figure out what size of the pile we're going to go after and what the customer really wants. Do they want a crispy fry? So we'd have to go, typically you want to go thinner for crispy fries. If someone wants a lot of potato, you go bigger. If someone wants a unique experience or something that kind of fills a lot of volume, then we can look at other cuts too. We can go look at twisters or crisp cuts. And then we can place somewhere in the middle between all these different cutting technologies, or even starting to combine cutting technologies.
Is the waffle fry kind of a prime example of a next innovation beyond this functionality?
Absolutely. So if you think about how Gib Lamb invented the water gun, he basically threw a potato through this grid of knives. And then they used a plunger before. We used water. There's other manufacturers out there that we've had air guns before that just shoot through guns, or we've even used two belts that highly propel a potato through a grid of knives. Water's the best. But if we're going to sit here and take a look at, I'll hand this awesome thing to you.
Oh, gosh.
Okay.
Little, yeah.
So I have my fancy dancy 3D printed cutter. So I'm not the best at this, but to make a waffle cut, so instead of going this way, we're going to actually turn the potato this way.
Okay.
And then I'm going to take a cut. And then you get what we call the butt cut. Every potato has one, or it has two.
A butt loaf of bread.
Yes.
Fun fact, that's my favorite piece.
I think a lot of people.
And so the next part is our machines are really, really good at this. But if I take this knife, and hopefully I can do this correctly, I made a little mini waffle.
Oh,
Not the best.
I was going to say, but I would eat that. Hang on.
It's really, really thin. It's not going to withstand anything.
But for demo purposes, like to see what it's going to be.
And then so basically what you do is you do that through the whole potato until the whole potato's gone.
Okay.
And so you have two butt cuts and you have a bunch of lattices in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what makes the crisp cut so special. Currently, we're working on something a little different. Start with a fresh edge. What if we didn't even have holes in our crisp cut? What if we just kept them the same? And so we do this, and then we make another cut like this.
You just spread it out a little bit more.
I stop the rotation. You can either rotate it or not rotate it, and you get something like this, a super sweet chip or the unholy waffle.
Okay. Side by side.
I love it.
And, this one's probably a little bit better.
And then, so for this too is like, that's like a lot more conventional waffle. These, like you're saying, with that device, like technically people could do that back of house.
Yep.
This, no one would do this back of house.
It's really difficult. So there's people that can do this back of house where they just take a mandolin and they cut it real fast, or they use a KitchenAid and something, or a food processor, and kind of do that. But the problem is that you have to get really perfectly sized potatoes, and the consistency just isn't there.
Yep.
And no one's going to be able to sit here with a knife like I am and be that accurate.
Yeah, one per one fry.
No, that doesn't sound like a
But a lot of the innovations that come off of the waffle fryer, we can change the knife set of this. So we have a 7/16 blade and a 5/16 blade. So we have two different waffle cuts. We've also looked at different pitches. We've done tapas dippers where you have basically this and it's kind of at an angle and kind of like a V.
What does a pitch mean? Do you mean from the...
So you have, when you look down here at this guy, so you have your grooves, right? The grooves that go in and out. And we can change how close those are together and how steep they are.
Okay.
And then we can also change the whole orientation of this knife. So if I was to push this in and bend it, that's going to give me a different product than if it was straight.
Okay.
So there's so many variables that we try to keep that are operations, and over time we've kind of able to lock down and make perfect. But sometimes we like to loosen them up and see what happens when you put things in. What if I threw this back in through the waffle cutter like this, and I'm going to get cuts this way? Like, now you get something that looks really cool. Probably not very useful, but it looks cool.
You just need to play around. It's like a little playground.
And that's how a lot of the coolest innovations have happened. We've thrown potatoes through one cutter and throw them into another cutter, and we get different things. That's how tri-cut dices were made. You run potato through a wedge, and you run it back through a slicing knife, and you get tri-cut wedges.
There you go.
Gosh, so what are these other contraptions?
Yep, everyone loves spiral fries. So we're going to start with, I'm hoping this is everyone, a spiralizer. Spiralizers are huge. Everywhere, everybody seems to have them. Onions, potatoes, everywhere in between.
I have one at home for zucchini.
I was just with doodles. I didn't get a response from Jake on that one.
I actually love to cut apples with different things.
Oh, yeah.
So I practice with this on apples, and then I made apple lettuces.
Easier? Is that a silly
Apples are a little easier to cut.
Yeah, okay.
Bananas just turn to mash.
Yeah, that doesn't seem...
So you get one, but so hopefully this works out. So hopefully I can get this set up correctly.
You got it?
It's supposed to have a sweet suction cup and be super safe for anybody to use it at home to make anything.
But we have an expert on our hands, so.
Literal scientist.
You could say a mad scientist.
It's true. It's true. Oh, okay, yeah.
They're so pretty.
Okay, I should use my Zoodle.
Me too. I'm like, this is inspired.
And so not the quite same size as our current twisters, but
You get the general idea.
and then people do these.
How long that is, though. Like, you would never know. I could tell you that was a noodle.
So then, okay, going back to in our plant, would then this get cut? Like, you're obviously not having fries this long. So you're getting the twist of it, the spiral of it.
So there's lots of that goes into that.
Okay.
So a lot of this is probably 1/16 of an inch by 1/4 of an inch.
Okay.
So you get bigger potatoes. Our twister lots are a lot smaller potatoes. That's how you get your inner coil. This doesn't make an inner coil. But also you never see this in our product either. So you don't see any waste. So the way we do twisters is quite a bit more convenient. You don't have someone sitting here, right?
No.
So you can either spin two things, right? You can spin the potato or you can spin the knife.
Okay.
Oh.
That makes sense.
So imagine trying to cut these like a football player, just throwing potatoes perfectly every time and hitting that. We don't do that. We spin the knife.
Okay.
And that's how we're so much more efficient than someone doing it at home and anybody that could ever be back at house.
Okay. Thanks.
And when we look at a lot of variations off this, we're doing a lot of variations off this because if you look at it, we're using the whole potato, right? We're taking the accentuating, we're using the whole potato. We did this. So even using the same knives that you see out in the marketplace, we're actually able to make.
Sorry, crowding wall.
No, this is cool.
This thing, whatever this is heavy. And it keeps throwing.
Just like collect.
We'll get there.
And so you can't even use that big of potatoes with them. All right. Oh. And you have to get them perfectly lined up. And then hopefully it makes something cool here in a second.
Oh.
And you have to keep perfect pressure the whole time through.
They're almost like flat.
Yeah. I'm trying to think what it looks like. Looks like on those like tools, like
A lock washer.
that.
And if you look at it like this and you cut it down to one loop, you get a swirl chip,
Oh. And it has like that pretty little divot.
which we just relaunched again with Cisco after baking in the 90s.
90s. Wow.
Nostalgia. You guys, it's a thing.
Coming back. Listen, I don't know why we're not making fries that look like this.
Mushrooms.
Mushroom fries.
Fry.
We do a lot of work to get rid of these little cores in our process
Yeah.
and to make sure that they're not there.
Yeah. This is just for the show and tell purposes.
But that's where the best potato is, right?
Yeah.
Right in the core.
Right in the core. Okay, these we guessed what this was because of the shape.
Yep. So the other thing that we do with a lot of in development is our chopped and formed. So you think of shredded hash browns. I don't have a potato shredder out here, but that's another way you can cut a potato, right? Is with a shredder. You can shred the potatoes, push them together, and then you form them. So what this is we were working with a customer to make a cheesy habanero filled potato. But when we did that, when we put a breading on it, it made it smaller. So we had to rapidly develop the prototype to fit into a sleeve. And so the team in engineering made a bunch of these for me that were different sizes, and they print them overnight and come back in the next morning and they're all ready to go. You basically sits like this on the 3D printer, pops them in,
And then you just mash it.
and then, you put your deposit down of how much potato you want to put in there. There's a little handle that comes with it too, but I took it off and moved it up something else. Put it down there, slam it down there, boom, come out with a hash brown patty. So we can do this for any shape, anything in the world. We have Mickey Mouse heads, dolphins, rhinos, ABCs, chicken nugget formers. So it's really great because we can print these overnight. Our engineering team, if we're all aligned, we can print them at night, pick them up in the morning, and they're ready to start forming to make, maybe 5 pounds of product. Not a lot, but just enough to see what the shape's going to do, how long it's going to take to cook up, and is someone interested in it?
Y'all like, I swear you play in just like a fun house. Like all the different toys.
Coming up here.
And so after we 3D print, we moved into a machined item. So this one's one of my favorite from the olden days.
Gosh.
It's little trucks. Because who doesn't love little trucks?
It's so adorable.
So we went from 3D printed to machined, and then we'd go basically another one of these is what the plant would do.
Okay.
Wow. That's adorable.
Oh my gosh, that's
And so the other thing that we can do is we can 3D print this, but going back to something that spins, this sometimes works out, sometimes doesn't. Very flimsy, right? Plastic 3D printing. Doesn't this look awesome? Like, doesn't it look like it's going to cut something that's going to be like super magical? Well, we'll see.
I'm like, my hopes are low. I'm going to be really honest with you.
But it looks cool, right? So we're going to go through here
Wow.
and if I can,
It's so thick. I really can't get over how much of a workout that you can get working is this.
So say thanks for doing all of this, Jake.
yep. So I'm going to cut this potato off here. This actually, so I've broken probably like 15 of these trying to make one cut. But what's great is, we can print these overnight and we can see if our ideas or what they're supposed to do actually pull out. So when we pull this out, we get these sweet outer rims. So I'll hold that.
Oh my gosh, that's so thick.
Really thick.
And we get this giant second coil.
I said, oh, and then this one in the middle.
And then you get this log.
Oh, never mind. I thought that was going to come part 2. I'm like,
So yeah, it's, let's see how much work it takes to get apart. Sometimes they can,
Unspiral a little.
like this is like stress.
Oh, there's like, because they're interlaid with one another.
oh yeah.
I didn't realize that.
And so, and it's actually, because I didn't cut it right, it's kind of broken. And so
These are kind of fun.
there you go.
Yay.
And then I had 3 of them. So there's one for you, and one for you, and one for me.
So many potatoes.
Wow.
Going through a process, these never come apart. That was pretty labor intensive. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to shred them apart. So I made a whole bunch of great stuff, and it looks cool, but it's not really going to go anywhere because we just can't physically make it. Because when your customer expects something, like they want the waffle fry perfect every time. And that's what's so hard about new cuts is I can sit here and make anything really cool, or I can have an artist come in and render a potato into like a Joe Pesci or something weird, right? The problem is when I want to try to upscale it and run it on our lines. So when we talk about the plunger knife, really easy to do, really tried and true technology. We just got to make sure that we don't put too much force on the potato, because as the potato goes through, the more knives we put in, the more force it takes to push through. And eventually the potato hits its limit and it blows up, or the knives actually break.
Well, that was my question, or that you took the question from me, I should say, is the challenges of this process of creating new cuts. It sounds like it's just sometimes it's easy to do with these smaller scale, but once we bring it to larger, big production, it gets more complicated.
It does. Even this one, even though we launched this back in the 90s and we reinvigorated it, it still took us 4 plant trials to get the right equipment to make it, because things change over time. The Pasco plant did an amazing job of upscaling it with us, and I think Cisco is a very happy customer with it now.
What did we do? Because 3D printing is relatively new.
It's relatively new, but the affordability has gone down quite a bit.
Okay.
So this knife, I can actually get, what we do is we do a plastic knife. We'll actually do a 3D creation of what it should look like. And then we'll do a plastic knife to actually see what it cuts like on a potato. And if that looks good, we'll actually upscale this to a metal knife.
Okay.
And we'll 3D print a metal knife instead of getting one machine, which drives our cost down by thousands of dollars.
Wow.
And then it's good enough to get a cut on the continuous line. If you ever have the chance to watch us run it, we learn a lot when we do that.
Mm-hmm.
And then once we do that, when we run on our continuous line, we get a lot of information of like how accurate are we going to be, and what modifications do we need to make sure that the hardest thing on every single cut is to make sure the potato always hits dead center. So whether it's this or if it's on this knife, like we don't want it cutting over here, right? We always want to hit here, and we always want it to rotate in the middle, or we're going to have some issues.
Right.
Same with those. We want to make sure that we're not sending the potato through sideways. We want to make sure we're sending it through the right way.
Gosh.
There's a lot to this.
I feel like there's so many things we could go into, but is there anything that you're like, okay, this is one thing that everyone needs to know, either about like your job or about making new cuts? Is there anything that you're like, okay, people need to know?
The potato is beautiful, and it's a canvas, and there's so much that we can do with it. We've only scratched the surface. Like when we go back in the history of Lamb Weston, people have always said, oh, you made a straight cut. There's nothing else that you can possibly do with it. Right. And that's what Lamb Weston's really been great at is, we came out with the Crisp cuts. We came out with the twister cutters, and they weren't developed by outside manufacturers. They're just invented by people with an idea, right? They weren't even engineers. They're just people looking at a potato and say, there's got to be something else that we're missing. And I just challenge people to say, look at potatoes a little different way, play at home, play everywhere that you possibly can, and see what awesome things you can do with potatoes.
I don't think I've ever felt more
I
motivated.
was gonna say.
I mean, this is the opposite of what we've been taught as kids, right? It's like, don't play with your food. And it's like, this is the definition of play with your food.
Absolutely. Which makes it all the more.
And
Yeah.
I mean, how many of these, you guys said you already have a spiralizer
Yeah.
at home.
Yeah.
When was the last time you ran a potato through it?
No.
Now I know what I'm gonna do.
I have a KitchenAid like kit with all the attachments, and I think it's been sitting in a closet for maybe 3 years. So I'm going to go home and whip this bad boy out.
Yeah, you ever
Potatoes.
make sheeted potatoes? Like you roll them out through the KitchenAid and like the little pasta sheeter, and you just get these like folded pieces of papers of potato.
You're saying I can make lasagna with potatoes?
You may be able to try to do something similar to that.
He's like, I'm not saying yes. Okay, I'm going to do that and I will report back.
Awesome.
I'm going to give it a shot.
Stay tuned.
My gosh, thank you so much. This was so exciting and fun and
So different.
yeah, just so different. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you guys.
Cool.
We hope y'all enjoyed that conversation, or maybe I should say show and tell with Jake.
Yeah.
I love being able to see everything real time. He did tell
Yeah.
me afterwards, he was like, I was going to make you guys do it yourself, but I didn't want you
Can
to
you
hurt yourself. I go, no, I'm glad you didn't want to embarrass me trying to squeeze that potato. It wouldn't have happened.
No, there's no way. It really felt like I was back in kindergarten again. So I appreciated it.
It did.
And now I really want to go home and use my own spiralizer safely.
Yeah.
With potatoes instead of zucchini. So.
And I forgot I need to make potato lasagna and see if that can work through the pasta thing.
Yeah, of
We'll
course.
have to report back to y'all.
Yeah, another episode for a later date. So if you did enjoy this episode, though, please let us know. Subscribe. Watch the next few episodes we have coming. And, of course, we will see you next time on Tater Talk.
Bye.